Hi everyone, it's Diane with SewBatik, and today is Fabric Friday, or it may actually be Super Saturday. I got a little wrapped up sewing up 3 different Boalsburg pullovers. Pattern is by Itch to Stitch, and I really fell in love with this pattern. I downloaded it on, it was either Tuesday or Wednesday, and took home some fabric to wash and stitched these up. And I just finished the one that I'm wearing just a couple of hours ago, and I'm really glad I did, because I think it's really fun to show this particular garment in 3 different fabric combinations. I'm going to share with you the 1 fabric combination, 2 fabrics that are coordinates, and 3 as well. And I think that really shows the versatility of this particular pattern. The Boalsburg Pullover is I look at this and I say comfortable, versatile, allows your creativity, and it's a jersey knit. It's a really, really great pullover for transitioning between winter and spring. I just think this is something that we're going to be able to grab, throw on a cool night or a cool day. I've been wearing these in the office the last 2 days, and I really, really love it. And I think it also gives an option for a clever tie at the neck or not. And as you can see, all 3 of the versions that I've made do not have the ties. It's just not my particular style, and so I love a turtleneck look, and so I just decided to let it be simply the turtleneck. So let's talk a little bit about the pattern. This pattern is designed for multiple cup sizes, and then sizes 00 to a 40, and so it has an amazing size range. The design is for somebody who is 5 feet 6 inches tall. I'm just slightly taller, and I don't ever have to adjust the sleeve length or the garment length on any of the patterns that I get from Itch to Stitch. And I think that's just because I'm only 1 inch taller, but it really, the designs that she has just fit me so well. If you're new to Itch to Stitch, if you haven't heard of her as a pattern designer, you definitely have to go over to her website and take a look at all of her different designs. You will love them. And once you've made one, let's say for a woven fabric or one for a jersey knit, you have kind of the structure of how she designs all of her patterns for each of those base cloths and how they're going to fit you. So it's really, I just really love all of her patterns, and I can't say that enough. So let's talk a little bit about this pattern. It is written for a stretch knit. And at first I kind of step back and say, oh my goodness, she's got it designed for 35% to 50% crosswise stretch, which, as you can see from the pattern's design and the look that she's wearing, you really want to have some movement. You want to have kind of stretch and make sure that you can get this over your head and feel comfortable with it. Our jersey knit is 72 inches wide, and it has approximately 20% stretch. So that's why I hesitate every now and again. I'm going to say to myself, does the style allow me to use our fabric the right way? And so I challenged myself a little bit on this one because of the neckline, but I also remember making another one of Kenna's patterns, which is called the Orono top, and it is kind of a sweatshirt feel. It has a crossover front and it has side pockets, but it has this exact same neckline. And I think you've seen me wearing it many times, and it's just the most comfortable top. So I love working with our jersey knit for that reason. It's comfortable, it's rewarding. I can use my serger and zip stuff up pretty quickly. And I just really like these patterns. So what I had to do is I thought I would just test out this pattern. I had some fabric washed already. I already had the hand-dyed dusty denim jersey knit ready to go. And so Bruce and I took a few minutes and went through fabric selections of our jersey knit collection, and we picked out 3 fabrics for this garment because I really wanted to also show how we could put together a similar top to what was represented by Kenna on her pattern cover. So we selected the Phoenix soft serve as kind of the main fabric and then accented it with the hand-dyed coral peach and the soft mint as a coordinate. And I just absolutely love how this turned out. The all over fabric. So by choosing one fabric, you really can barely even tell that it has all of the pieced detail in it. But I really love that look as well. And on the, let me turn this one around so you can kind of see how the back looks on this. I really like how the sleeve design, now remember, the one thing with these patterns that they allow you to put the pattern pieces anywhere you want. So you can put the fabric, I shouldn't say pattern pieces, the fabric choices anywhere you want based off of the pattern pieces themselves. So you can be as creative or as, what do you call that? Classic as you would like. So then yesterday, when I was putting together some thoughts for today's video, I thought to myself, well, I've got one fabric choice, I've got 3 fabric choices. How about just using coordinates? Because we do have so many different fabric coordinates in our Jersey Knit collection that I just had to make another one. So I washed up the fabric last night and stitched it up today, and that's truly, it's truly how fast you can make one of these tops, and you'll be addicted to this as much as I am. I think when it comes to working with PDF downloadable patterns like Kenna's, it takes a lot of time. It does. Print out all the pattern pieces, we put them all together, and then I trace off the size that I need, cut it out of our pattern tracing paper, and I have this forever, and then I just fold up, actually I should show you this, I just fold up the huge pattern pieces and have it for the next time I need to make another garment for somebody that's a different size than the pattern pieces that I have here. And I also use these, I've got the range from 00 all the way to 40 printed because I need to validate how much yardage we need to include in our garment kits and how we can convert the fabric requirements that are in the pattern to our wide jersey knit. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But I want to go through a little bit about the pattern pieces and how this is put together and how fun this can be for you. And I think the best way to show it really is with this particular garment. We have the front and back top pieces are on the fold. So those 2 pattern pieces are taken for this particular garment out of what we're going to call fabric A. Fabric B is our insert on the front, the back, and the sleeve, as well as the cuff. And fabric C are the lower front and back, sleeve and cuff, and then the hem band as well. The inserts are simply these triangles, and then the bottom, back, and front are in this particular shape. We have our hem band, which is folded once we've sewn it into the round. Fold that in half and stitch that on. We have our sleeve, which is actually added flat, which I love. We have 2 pieces that make up the neckband area. And so these are sewn together. They're cut on the fold, sewn together, and then stitched on to our garment. And that is it. It's interesting because this particular pattern takes a lot of smaller pieces. So we have, you know, the center on the fold, so that's a smaller piece. We have the insert, and then we have the bottom front and back pieces. And the reason I'm drawing attention to that is that affects our yardage. So let's talk a little bit about fabric yardage. One question that we will get when it comes to using 54-inch wide fabric that's in a pattern requirements list versus our fabric, our jersey knit is 72 inches wide. So that is quite a difference, but it doesn't necessarily turn into a difference in yardage because of how the fabric or how the pattern pieces have to be positioned on the fabric because it is a knit. They can only go one way. We can only put this particular pattern piece on the fabric with the grain line matching the grain line and the stretch matching the stretch lines which are going around us. So here is really the only difference between the yardage that's in the pattern for the 54-inch wide fabric is when we're using one fabric to make this pullover. I made a size 12 to 14 to 16, so I graded mine a little bit. I started with that, let me say that. So for this particular top, I based all of my yardage off a size 16. In the pattern, that fabric requirement would be 1 7/8 yards. I used 1.5 yards of our 72-inch wide fabric. And I was able to do that because of the width, but because these pattern pieces are much smaller and you can position them across the width of the fabric, still following the grain lines as you're supposed to. So that was the only reason I could really shrink the fabric down to utilize the fabric a little bit better. When it comes to the 2 fabric combination, which is not listed in the pattern, so I'll have that yardage on our website. I did have a little bit of leftover, but it's a fun leftover. It's something that I can use on another project. When it comes to the 3 fabrics, we need to have the yardage that's in the pattern because the sleeve for fabric B, the sleeve for fabric C really require that yardage. We do have to follow that yardage for that. It doesn't really change. So I can't just simply turn the sleeve and use a smaller piece of fabric. So hopefully that makes sense to you. So our yardages that we have on our website for these kits, and we're going to have the 1 fabric version, the 2 fabric coordinates, and the 3, so that you can pick any combination of fabrics from our jersey knit collection to make your creation. I'm learning to never worry about whether or not our jersey knit has the right amount of stretch, as long as, of course, I take a look at what the design is just to make sure it stretches beautifully, and I think it will be a wonderful choice for this Boalsburg pullover. If you're new to working with our jersey knit, there's really only a couple things that I can recommend. The needles that I use are a Schmetz, stretch, or jersey needle. And I like the size of an 80-12, and that's what I used in my serger. I actually stitched all 3 of these up using a 4-thread overlock and simply had the knife engaged, and this is a 3/8 inch seam. And so I just cut off a little bit, trimmed off a little bit of the fabric when I stitched all of the seams up and finished the collar and the hems. If you don't have a serger or don't have access to a serger, then definitely on your sewing machine, what I always recommend is either a very narrow zigzag or that beautiful stretch stitch, which is the lightning bolt that you have on your sewing machine. And then go back and finish off your seam edges with either a zigzag stitch or an overlock stitch if you have that on your sewing machine. Some sewing machines now come with an overlock foot that make it really easy to keep your fabric supported as you finish off the edge of your seams. I think I might have mentioned, but Kenna's pattern also has options for how to finish off the seams and gives a little bit of instruction on that as well. I used stay tape in my shoulders just to make sure that it keeps the stretching to a minimum, to be honest. And that is a technique that I always use, is like a stay tape right in the shoulder. Since I didn't put on the ties, I did not cut open and use my buttonholer for, you can use buttonholes or put a grommet in to thread your tie through. And so you would need your sewing machine if you're going to do a buttonholer. So those are your options as well. But other than that, and a little bit of interfacing to stabilize the ties, if you put the ties in your neckband, that's all that's needed for this particular garment. But otherwise, simple pins. I use a rotary cutter for cutting out my pattern pieces off this table, and construct it and wear it. It's just such a simple garment, and working with the fabric is so easy to do. The only thing that I think, you know what I should do, is I will link in our video here down below. I put together a working with jersey knit video a while back, and I think it would be a really great review. Just a few tips and techniques for laying out your pattern pieces, and if you need to, if the fabric is curling too much after you've washed your fabric, because it will do that, you will get, the fabric will start to curl. And when you're laying this out on your cutting table, I always have masking tape near me to just tape down the edge of your fabric so that you get to use a little bit more of that curling edge. You see how that curls? But all of those little tips and techniques are in that video. On our website, you will see all of the fabrics in our jersey knit collection. So any combination possible, it is your choice to what you put together, or if you're going to make one of the one fabric versions of it, that's simple. You just pick one of the fabrics. But we're going to start with several kind of pre-established sets and trios to make fabric selection a little bit easier. But I want you to know that if you ever have a question about how something looks together, give me a call, because I can take photographs and I can work with you on a Zoom call on the fabric choices so that you can see exactly how things work together, and we can play with it a little bit. So either get on our chat or give me a call and we'll get on Zoom, or whatever you would like. It just makes it a lot easier to pick the fabrics that you would like to make your pullover. So each one, I shouldn't say each, several of our fabrics have both a motif and a hand-dyed coordinate to it. So for example, this is sachet pink. So we have the Violetta motif and a hand-dyed, which really makes something like the black outfit I'm wearing here, the tuxedo, plus the tuxedo brass with the gold running through it. It makes it easier to kind of see what might work together. And so we have several sets like this. So if you see a colorway in the Jersey Knit collection that you like, search on the color name and you'll get the coordinate that goes with it. Another fun grouping, and I'm gonna, actually we use soft serve over here, but we also have rainbow sherbet, which is this colorway. Has a lighter background with rainbow shades going through it. And that also goes very well with either our soft coral, or this is the soft mint. So that's another really fun, it could be a trio or it could be simply two fabrics together, but those are wonderful coordinates. And again, we have another hand-dyed. Here's our motif of Violetta plus the hand-dyed soft mint. I could probably go through those for hours. Same with our coral peach. The dusty denim I really like. So we have the hand-dyed dusty denim here, but we also have the Violetta motif as a coordinate as well. The one that I really like, and I think I'm going to have to make one of, and you really can't tell a lot, you know, when you look at these two, let me just put them up here for you, but we have the animal skin charcoal, and then we have the hand-dyed charcoal. Even though the motif would look subtle, it almost would look like a one fabric design here for this particular pullover, but it is a subtle motif and you can get a little bit of color out of that as well. I think that would be absolutely beautiful. We also have a lot of different bright shades. I'm gonna grab one that would be a beautiful trio of color. I'm going to get into our teals, but I'm going to show you 4 different fabrics. If you take a look at this fabric grouping, we have Gardenista Vine in Delft Meadow. We have the Phoenix Asian Blue, and then 2 of the fabrics that are in the colorway of Lake, but one is the Gardenista Vine and the other is Hand-Dyed Lake. These go beautifully together and could make any combination for a trio or even just the 2 fabric combination as well. When we get into some of the fall shades and some of the bolder shades, we had some fun pulling together some purples and dark berry, as well as our Valentine pink. I think this would also be a beautiful collection. This would be lovely as the V, just cutting the 2 motif fabrics apart right at the front inset there. Wouldn't that be pretty? And let me see. We also did a color combination with, now I'm going to mix some of these up. I think we did a duo with the Gardenista Vine Firecracker Red and our bright purple. But there's so many different fabric combinations, and definitely I'm going to shoot through a couple of fabrics that we put on our website here so that you can see some of the images. But just know that you can put together any fabric combinations that you'd like. As you can see, I had a really fun time sewing up the Boalsburg Pullover, patterned by It's Just Stitch, and it was really fun to know that I really should never hesitate when trying to figure out if our cotton jersey knit has enough stretch for some of these garments. It really is perfect, and I'm so glad that I was able to stitch up these 3 tops just to show the differences between the color combinations and what the possibilities can be. And so this week, Kenna came out with another pattern, and it happens to be a jacket that also is a great transition into spring. It looks like it's intended for a lighter weight fabric. It's a woven fabric. Stand-up collar, has lots of pocket options on the outside of the jacket. It has a drawstring on the inside of the jacket, a zipper front. I think it's going to be a really great project just to work with our canvas. And I'm going to select one of the fabrics from our 5-ounce canvas collection and see what we can do with that. I'm really excited about working with the canvas, and I love jackets. I'm really just, I don't know what it is. I've just been working on so many different jackets lately. So we made our 8.6 ounce canvas jacket a couple of weeks ago. And so it will be fun to have a lighter weight jacket as well. take a look at the description below. There's lots of links over to our website for the Jersey Knit collection, for the new garment kits that we have on our website for each one of these kit options with the fabric possibilities. And also know that, and I might have said this up front on the beginning of this video, but we're an affiliate with Itch to Stitch, and so her patterns are all downloadable. They're not a paper pattern, but are all downloadable from her website. And so we do have a connection right from our kit over to her website so that you can download the pattern that you're going to work on, or purchase a bunch of them at the same time, and you get a discount when you purchase more than, I don't remember what the number is, but definitely check that out. But she really has an amazing collection of patterns for any type of garment. Check out that YouTube that I'll have a link down below as well for how to work with Jersey Knit, some tips and tricks for working with the Jersey Knit as well. So until next time, enjoy your weekend and welcome to March, and keep sewing, smiling, and sharing.